In 1972, on September 13th, British rock band Yes would release their fifth studio album. This album would go on to be considered one of the greatest progressive rock albums of all time. Its title, Close to the Edge. Hello, everybody. I'm Gary. This is Physical Format Rock and Roll. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's been 50 years since this album, Close to the Edge, came out. Seems like a very long time, doesn't it? Well, that is a long time. And especially considering the fact that this album is still popular, is still being discovered by new generations, just makes that 50-year mark seem that much more incredible. So what makes this album that special? Well, first off, let's look at the lineup of the band that is on here. Of course, you have Steve Howe on guitar and sitar on here. You have John Anderson and his angelic vocals. You have Rick Wakeman on keyboards and Chris Squire on bass extraordinaire. And this is also the last album with Bill Bruford on drums before he would leave and join King Crimson. So, Yes had success with the Yes album and then with Fragile, Fragile being even more successful. So they had some popularity. They had to follow that up with something a little bit different. So they went even more on the progressive route. Now, it's called Close to the Edge, and that is the title track, which takes up all of side one. It's about 18 or 19 minutes long. The song starts out, first, it's you hear like some birds and things like that. It sounds very relaxing. And then it just goes into total chaos. Every band member seems to be playing something different. Not even really a song structure so much, except maybe Chris Squire's bass line seems to be fairly consistent. He does actually have a bass line. It's chaotic, but yet somehow it's transforming into something. I feel like the way that it opens up describes the title, Close to the Edge, right? So if you're close to the edge, you could be close to the edge of insanity, close to the edge of sanity, close to the edge of happiness, of unhappiness, which I think is kind of a little bit of the theme of this album. If you want to get a theme out of it, if you try to study some of the lyrics by John Anderson. But I think that the music perfectly describes the title because it is close to the edge of total chaos. And the first time you listen to this album, it might not be one that you say, wow, that was a fantastic album. This is one of those albums where you have to listen to it a few times. Now, I'm not talking about, I don't like it sometimes when people say, well, you just have to learn to like it. Well, you shouldn't have to learn to like anything. But I think with this album, as with some other progressive albums, you just have to listen to it a few times to get yourself more familiar with it. And this album is a perfect example of that. I can imagine many people, when they first put it on, were maybe not overwhelmed by it until they had lived with it for a little bit. And I think that's the way I felt about it myself. The song Close to the Edge, of course, it's broken into 4 parts because this is a progressive rock band, and that's what they do. They break their songs into different parts. But of course, it eventually becomes a more structured song, and it goes into different pieces, different movements of this particular song. The great thing about this song, about this album, really, is not one band member outshines the other. You can take any member of this band at this time period and point out exceptional things that they do on this album, on this first side, on this song, right? It's going in all that chaos, and then all of a sudden you hear John Anderson, you know, "Ah," then it goes into some more chaos, and it comes back again with that until finally you get a structured guitar line there from Steve Howe, and it becomes a song, and it becomes a great song. Like I said, you know, it goes into different movements. One of my favorite parts of this song actually is the part where it's Rick Wakeman playing what I believe would be a large, like, you know, pipe organ. That's what it sounds like. He's playing that, and John Anderson is singing. His voice sounds great on it. You can hear Steve Howe just kind of, you know, going up and down with the volume on his guitar to add texture to it. That's one of my favorite parts of that song. The way that is so different from the rest of it. But, you know, then it goes to the up and the down, like the rest of the song, which, you know, is a line that, a thread that goes through this song. And by the time you're done, you're like, that was really cool. And it is. It's a fantastic beginning to this album. For side one, it leaves you loving it and wanting more. Then you get to side two, and you get to the song And You and I, which starts out like with Steve Howe kind of tuning up his guitar a little bit, right? And then it goes into those fantastic, he's picking those notes on those chords there, and it just sounds so great. John Anderson comes in and sings, and the sound of this album and the way that they use echo on this, the reverb, it's so spacious that it's totally another element. It's like they use it like another instrument on these songs to give it that space, to give it a chance to breathe. And then at other times you hear them pull it in to where it sounds very close to you. Like, you know, when they have the part where they're doing the acoustics, just acoustic guitar, and John Anderson sings, and that sounds like it's right there. You know, they went from being in this vast kind of room to it's right there, right in your face. That's brilliant. The recording of this album, the production of it is fantastic. And like I said, it's basically used like another instrument. You know, And You and I is probably a song that, to me, totally it's a total fantastic example of Yes, of the band Yes at their best. If I was to tell somebody, they go, hey, I've never heard Yes, is it a progressive rock band? I don't know, is it a band I can get into? The first song I would tell them to listen to would be And You and I, because it has so many different elements in it that make Yes a fantastic band. To me, this is the highlight of the album, is this song here. Of course, it also has 4 different movements in it. They're all fantastic in their own right, and they all come together to form one large unit, one fantastic song. So And You and I, that's great to me, the highlight of the album. Then we get into the Siberian Tattoo. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. I've never actually heard it pronounced, but that's how I pronounce it. Now you get a little bit, this is probably the more harder rocking song off of the album, although it's kind of a funk feel to it. Also with that bass, Chris Squire's bass on that song is fantastic. He just drives it, and it is a good rocking song. It's a perfect way to end this album. You know, just in case you got lulled a little bit too much there, you know, they come back and just pop you in the face. So that's just a brief discussion of this album. I don't want to go into too much detail on it, but I just wanted to celebrate the fact that, you know, this album has been around for 50 years, and it is still fantastic. Matter of fact, Yes is going, a different lineup, obviously. Yes is going out on tour. They are currently on tour, and they're doing the entire Close to the Edge album, celebrating 50 years, along with some other songs. So it's an important album to them. It has gone platinum. It took quite a while to go platinum, but it is platinum back in like 98, I believe. So Fantastic album. If you've never given it a chance, never listened to it, I highly recommend Close to the Edge by Yes, a progressive rock masterpiece celebrating 50 years. Happy birthday. I'm Gary. This is Physical Format Rock and Roll. Till the next time, my friends, I will see you down the road.